guys, today we're going to be doing my May book haul, showing y'all all of the books that came into my possession in the month of May. I went on several Goodwill trips, 2 more than I typically would, and I might even go on another one tomorrow, so stay tuned to TikTok for that. But we got a lot of books to get through, so let's get into it. I did start the month by going on my monthly Barnes & Noble trip. In the month of May, I've been focusing on reading contemporary and literary fiction, and I have been buying the highest rated book on my TBR according to Goodreads. So obviously this month we did it by contemporary fiction, and the one that they had is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is a Stonewall Book Award by the American Library Association. So many of you guys here on YouTube have recommended me this book when I was doing my book live streams. Maybe I'll bring that back, who knows. I just don't really have the devices, computers, and all that to do that currently, but hopefully in the future we can get back to doing that. But this is a story told in poetry and verse, which I absolutely love poetry when it is in a narrative format, so I am so excited for this. But this is about Michael, who is a mixed race gay teen growing up in London, so he doesn't know where he fits on the sexuality spectrum, and then he doesn't know who he identifies more race-wise, and he's just having a very confusing time. But it's the coming of age story of this character trying to find their self. My first Goodwill trip, I went to the one in Carolina Forest. I went there twice. I had amazing luck with home decor books. Those are the things that I was looking at. The first book that I picked up is The Children of First Man by James Alexander Thom. Now, I had never heard of this book. I had never heard of this author, but it's looking at America before the Europeans came, before Lewis and Clark, before all of that, kind of in like the Neolithic time period, what all that time period was like and what is now America, and I thought that sounded really intriguing. Next, I got a classic, if you will. I have read this book before. I read it, I don't know, when did the movie come out, like 10 years ago. I can still vividly remember reading that book for the first time, reading the hardback, FaceTime my friend afterwards, because we would see the movie the next day, the day it came out. So I was very just on the nose finishing it right before the movie came out. Like, I think I finished it at like 1 in the morning. It was thunderstorming. Yeah, vivid memories. The book I'm talking about is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and I think y'all all know what this is about, but it's about these 2 teenagers who have cancer, and they kind of fall in love. Yeah, so I have not read this in a really long time, but it is such a classic, and I would like to reread it as an adult. Another one is a book by an author who I own other books from and haven't got to. Probably some of them are back there behind me. This is Hawaii by James A. Michener. He takes a place, it could be a state, a country, whatever, a city, and tells the history of that place from the beginning to whenever it was published, to the present day. And I love that. I wish I could do that. I'm trying to do that, but it's a lot of research. A lot goes into writing something like this. And this one is all about Hawaii. And James Michener is a Pulitzer Prize winner. I did not know that. But something that I love about getting books at the thrift store, you always find little things. Like there's this old Delta plane ticket that's Atlanta to Las Vegas. And there was also a business card for like a Toyota dealership in Sandy Springs, Georgia. So this book was obviously in Atlanta at one time, and it ended up in Horry County, South Carolina. Y'all know I have to do my monthly book of the month order, and yes, I got this many books. There were just so many books that I wanted to get to, and a lot of them are debuts. The first one is The Bombshell by Darrow Farr. This is taking place in Corsica in the 1990s, with like an independence, a group who wants independence for Corsica. They kidnap this high-profile girl who is the daughter of an American-French politician, and they hold her for ransom. And I just thought that sounded like the perfect summer read, and to give me knowledge for something I didn't know about. I don't really know anything about Corsica except like Napoleon. Was he from there? That's all I know, and see, that's pretty iffy knowledge. Next we have a romance, and that is Passion Project by London Sperry. This cover just looks so 2000s, but New York City, summer in the city. The Passion Project finds them sampling photography, tattooing each other, rappelling off skyscrapers. But when secrets surface, Venice finally has to face the grief that's holding her back. Characters trying to live their best life in New York City. The next one I got is The Bright Years by Sarah Damoff. This is following a family in Georgia through the generations and the trauma that they have gone through and how that can impact each generation. And y'all know that's like one of my favorite kind of stories. I then got a book that is also by an author who I probably have some books from back there that my cousins keep recommending that I pick up. I still haven't done it. I really want to, but y'all see how many books I own. It takes me a little while to get to each book. And the author I'm talking about, Sarah Penner. This book is The Amalfi Curse. I want to say Coast so bad, but that's where it takes place. So we have an Italian book, again, very summery looking. This has witches, history, Italy. What more could I ask for? Probably the most iconic book in this video. I don't know. We have a lot of icons here. This is one that several people who I care about have picked up, whether that be like, you know, celebrities or friends, and it just sounds so out there. The book I'm talking about is Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. This is about Linda, who is attracted to airplanes. She wants to marry an airplane. Now, how's she gonna do that? She wants to die in a plane crash to cement their souls together forever. I honestly have no idea how you come up with a book like this, and I have no idea where this story is going to go. Y'all know I go to Target every week to get my groceries and just whatever I might be out of, and they were having a sale on books this month, and I picked up Ransom Canyon by Jodie Thomas, which has Minka Kelly in it. I read Minka's memoir last year, and it was one of my favorite books that I read, and I just want to support her in other ways. And as you can see, this is the TV cover, so there is a TV show with her on it, but I want to read the book before I see this show. So this is a romance book in the remote West Texas town of Ransom Canyon. Family can be made by blood or by choice. I went back to the Goodwill in Carolina Forest and got 3 books. The first being The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder by David Grann. This was a New York Times bestseller. Bernard over on TikTok, he was raving about this book, and then the next day I saw it at Goodwill, so I was like, I will give it a go, even though I have read a book by this author and wasn't a huge fan of it. That was The Lost City of Z, but now that I have more of an understanding of nonfiction and that I read more nonfiction, I do think I could enjoy this more. And again, this is, I think, pretty self-explanatory, but taking place in the 1700s. We have a book by an author that I have read from once again, and that is Death Valley by Melissa Broder. She does some kind of magical realism, and her books are really funny. They're just weird girl lit. Let's see what this one's actually about. So this is a darkly funny novel about grief that becomes a desert survival story, which I love survival stories. I find them so intriguing. They put you on the edge of your seat, gets the adrenaline pumping. So I can't wait to see what Melissa Broder does for this one. Next is a book that I saw the first time I went. I didn't get it, but I kept thinking about it, so I was so happy to see it was there the next time. This is The Island of the Colorblind by Oliver Sacks, that man right there. I think this is kind of like an anthropology book. So Oliver Sacks has always been fascinated by islands, their remoteness, their mystery, above all, the unique forms of life they harbor. For him, islands conjure up equally the romance of Melville and Stevenson, and the adventure of Magellan and Cook, and the scientific wonder of Darwin and Wallace. So he's going to the Pacific and wrote a book about it. On another Target trip, I picked up Frederick Bachman's new book because he's one of my all-time favorite writers, and that book is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. Now, I should have waited to get this at Book of the Month because I could have got it at half the price that I got at Target. I don't know why my mind totally forgot about my Book of the Month subscription. So if you have that subscription, I do recommend getting it there because I'll be the cheapest you get it, unless you get it at Goodwill or, you know, secondhand. I actually don't really know what this book's about. It says, the world is full of miracles, but none greater than how far a young person can be carried by someone else's belief in them. That makes me kind of emotional, but his books always do, and I have loved everything I've read from him. I did go back to Goodwill, to my local Goodwill, and it was so nice to finally return to my local Goodwill. First, I got The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Believe it or not, I have never read this book. I used to own the book, and as a kid, I was so scared of reading it because, I mean, obviously what it's about, you know. But now I'm an adult and I do think it's time because I think this is such an important book. Another book I got is Joe Biden's Promise Me Dad, A Year of Hope, Hardship, and Purpose. I want to read a book by every single president. So when I saw President Biden's book there, I was like, yeah, I gotta get it. And luckily he didn't write one that's too long, because I know like George W. Bush, my dad used to have a book by him from, you know, back in the day, and it was like this thick, and I'm like, that's gonna be very scary to get through a book that long. But I mean, presidents, I think it's so important to know about the leaders and the people in charge in your country. You know, obviously Joe Biden is not president anymore, and then we can think about like George Washington, obviously not president anymore, but seeing how the impact of these people made our country and put us where we are today, I think that is so, so important. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, Joe Biden's a Democrat, I don't want to read from him. I don't think that's a good mindset to go into, but I mean, obviously y'all can read whatever you want, but again, I just think it's so important to know about both sides of the aisle and to just have an understanding of these people and who they are as people, how that helped shape our country and therefore our lives. The next book I got is AD 30 by Ted Decker. No, I don't really like how I worded in the TikTok. I was like, I'm scared it might be too Christian. I just mean Christian fiction, of where a book maybe won't dive into the nitty gritty, because obviously it says experience the way of Jesus as you never have. So it is a story about Jesus. I'm aware of that, who is Jesus Christ, who therefore Christianity is named after. I do want a story of Jesus, but more so like the Passion of the Christ movie, which 5 out of 5 totally recommend, how that just shows it how it really was. That's what I meant when I said I didn't want to be too Christian, because I feel like a lot of times you'll see they gloss it over to make it more, not to make it as dark as it was, but something like the crucifixion, I think you need to show it how it really was, because I think that just shows, yeah, it's this, I don't want to get into a religious spill here. It's just crazy. Once you watch that movie, The Passion of the Christ, which again, I wouldn't even say it's a Christian movie, but yeah, it's about Jesus Christ. It is just mind-blowing and mind-boggling, and it made me cry. It was so powerful and so brutal, and I think that's how you have to tell this kind of story. So that's what I meant in my TikTok. But this is taking place in, it says, a sweeping epic set in the harsh deserts of Arabia and ancient Palestine, a war that rages between kingdoms on the earth and in the heart, the harrowing journey of the woman at the center of it all. Step back in time to the year of our Lord, AD 30. Especially having it as a woman character, I think that's going to be super cool. On the same Goodwill trip, I picked up the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, because my dad watched the movie recently and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like straight up my alley. And my grandma thinks she read the book back when it was originally published. I think it was in the early 2000s. Could be wrong on that. And I was like, I need to get on this. And I only see Dan Brown books that people say they'll survive the apocalypse. I don't know if one of my friends said that or I saw that somewhere else. But they are always at little free libraries, always at Goodwill. But I wanted like not a mass market, because I sometimes struggle with the mass markets. So I was super excited to find this nice hardback copy at Goodwill. Now this one is kind of random, but I do think these children books are just super fun and easy to read if you're wanting to learn about the mythology or just learn about a subject to get like that surface level and then do more research. This one is Fairy Tales of Eastern Europe by Neil Phillip, and I just want to know more about Eastern Europe and what shaped those cultures. And fairy tales, I think, are something you can really find that in, because these are stories that have been told for hundreds of years. So obviously they've had their impact in the world. So Eastern Europe I thought would be pretty cool to learn about. I then went to like 9 little free libraries last weekend. First, I did start in my hometown and I only found one book, and that is a young adult book, which is The Moonlit Vine by Elizabeth Santiago, and it was donated by the library, so I love that we have that nice acetate cover. I got this at the Ebenezer Park Little Free Library, and it is about this young girl who is learning her family history. It's a modern tale with interstitial historical chapters. The Moonlit Vine brings readers a powerful story of the collective struggle and hope and liberation of Puerto Rico's Taino peoples, and I don't know really anything about Puerto Rico, and I thought this would be a good place to start. Then I went over to Sunset Beach in North Carolina just to go to the beach over the weekend, and they have so many little free libraries. They're like, the amount of books that I got is crazy, and I do this every year. The first one I picked up is one that I think is more of what I was saying, Christian fiction. It's Samson, a novelization by Eric Wilson. So this was originally a movie. And for me, I love just ancient history. I love biblical retellings. And hopefully this gives me some of that. I don't know how much faith I have in it, but it was free, so you never know, and maybe it'll be good and I'll go and watch the movie. Next we have another book that has been turned into a movie, not reverse, and that is The Help by Catherine Stockett. I actually don't really know what this is about. So it says Abilene is a black maid in 1962 Jackson, Mississippi, raising her 17th white child. Oh my gosh. So again, this movie was very popular when it came out, but I've never read the book. I did pick up another book that I have never heard of, and that is The Stones of Summer. Again, old library book from Monroe County, Pennsylvania. This is a Forgotten for 30 Years. The book that inspired the award-winning documentary Stone Reader is now available to a new generation of readers. So it's taking place in the 1950s. And again, it's like a coming-of-age great American story. And this was one I was so excited to see because I've been meaning to pick up this book but just haven't seen it anywhere. And that is All These Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. I've read 2 of his other books and really wanted to pick up this one because I've heard so many great things about it. This is about a sheriff who is going on the case of a serial killer through swamps, forests, and everything in the Tidewater region of Virginia. We've made it to the last stack. There's one really cool little library that was new that I hadn't been to before that had some romance books and just like cool books, you know, that I never expect to see out there. This is Spells, Strings, and Forgotten Things by Brienne Randall. A witch cursed with sacrificing memories to cast spells must decide how much she's willing to lose to save her town in this thrilling tale of magic, love, and self-discovery. I love those themes and I love a witchy story. Next is Hippie by Paulo Coelho, and this is about, kind of inspired by his own life, how back in like the 60s and 70s people would travel from Europe all the way into like India and Nepal. I think that's so fascinating. I've always wanted to read about that, so I saw this and immediately had to grab it, and that little free library was giving out bookmarks, so I picked up this one. Also at that same one I saw The Birth of Venus by Sarah Dunnett, another author that I own a lot of books from and think they all sound so intriguing but I haven't actually read any yet. This is taking place in Florence in the Renaissance, so it's setting that I devour. The one that was kind of at the, you know, the cool library is No Rest for the Wicked by Kresley Cole. I can't remember if this is in a series or not, but it's a sizzling romance about a Valkyrie assassin and the vampire warlord and her sights in the Immortals After Dark series. Yeah, I loved this cover. I saw it at a bookstore in Myrtle Beach recently, but didn't pick it up, so I cannot wait to pick this up since I saw it in a little free library. This is a book that is very popular by, you know, I sort of, I don't know if I want to read that or not because I've heard mixed things, but I saw it for free, so only when I see a book for free that is very popular and I've heard mixed things and I might be scared of the hype, I'm like, it's free, this is my chance to get it. So this is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. And this is a dazzling novel about all the choices that go into a life well lived. And the last book I have to share with y'all I got at an indie bookstore in Sunset Beach, which is called Pelican Books. They're awesome. I go there every year. This is Where the Rivers Merge by Mary Alice Monroe, and I do have a signed copy here. And this has the dual timelines that I love, one in 1908 and one in 1988. It says the first of 2 epic and triumphant novels celebrating one intrepid woman's life across multiple generations in the American South. And this is taking place in South Carolina, and she is a local author, so that's only as cool to support them. Those are all of the books that I got in May. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are familiar with my videos, you're used to seeing Sherman at the end of them. Sadly, Sherman has since passed away, but I would still like to encourage you guys to help your local shelters. Sherman was at the Darlington County Humane Society in rural South Carolina. I always have their link down below in the description if you guys would like to help them, but also help your local shelters as well. You can do that by donating, sharing posts like this one, volunteering, fostering, and adopting, which it's great to do all of those things. Great to help your community, great to help the animals in your community, and I cannot recommend it enough. All of my pets were rescues, they were strays or from animal shelters, and I love them so much, and I know how much love they can give, so knowing these pets at the shelter can equally give that much love, it's amazing. And y'all should totally take part and help out those local animal shelter pets, and please help them.